You're watching my favorite YouTube channel. I'm ChillMonger. Here's the Twitter DM that I sent to Onzo. Hey, you and Roberto should react to this video that I did. You know, the one called Temporary Representation. If you don't know the one, watch that 3-minute version that I posted a couple days ago. I got the reaction that I wanted. They enjoyed the mayonnaise.
Did you pull out a bottle of mayonnaise?
I want black white mermaids, black white mothers.
Oh, that was fucking fire. I like the, hey, you're talented, man.
Thank you, Roberto. Now, I did message them back, and it was insisted that I should do a reaction to that and a reply. That's this video here. There is no Biggerford Entertainment versus ChillMonger versus LB stuff. It's just disagreement and talking. So nobody go over to their channels and say that ChillMonger sent you. It's not about that. Let's react to the first thing that they say.
Two things. The Black Panther thing ain't got nothing to do with the subject that he's talking about. And MJ and the Spider-Man ain't Mary Jane Watson.
That's exactly correct.
Well, the subject is temporary representation. The opposite of temporary would be permanent. And T'Challa wasn't permanent, he was temporary. And I suppose I have to admit that MJ, Michelle Jones Watson, Spider-Man's love interest, is different than MJ, Mary Jane Watson, Spider-Man's love interest. I give you that.
And you know what? Like, listen, man, we've talked about this many times. I personally don't care, but he keeps talking about, and ChillMonger does all the time, he talks about, well, they're going to go back in the comics to being white. Ain't nobody read fucking comics anymore. A lot of the fucking people that know about these characters know about them because of the movie.
Actually, I cited a lot of movie sources also. I could go to even other franchises like Batman, who's got a black woman playing Catwoman this time, but the time prior it was Anne Hathaway. Time prior was Halle Berry. The time prior was Michelle Pfeiffer. It's never something that's permanent. It's temporary representation. And these are never introducing black characters into the media. Instead, it's just the same old white characters that we know. A black actor will be playing them and that looks the part, and then a white actor plays them again. But when we fast forward 300 years, and if that's all that's being done, we'll be left with permanent white characters in the top. Well, not permanent, there'll be more. It's not like characters such as Naruto and just, who else? Deadpool and all these kind of newer guys who we didn't grow up with those characters being big, but they are now. This temporary representation, maybe it fulfills the annual, we casted enough black people and we have enough black movies, but because the characters themselves are not integrated with white, with that skin tone, and it's somebody actually who's white, then all we're getting is white characters more popular.
My thing is he's conflating the message, man. Like he didn't have to use Black Panther like that. It got nothing to do with what he's talking about.
I'm not conflating the message of getting T'Challa recast and wanting race swaps to stop. It's temporary representation. It's in the caption. I say it many times in the video. I'll say it here one more time to make it clear. It's wrong. Temporary representation is the beef that I have, and it comes in forms of even changing people's faces with CGI to make them an animal or a genie or a soul and whatnot.
Well, that's where it comes up. It's all the recast T'Challa stuff comes from, right? And I keep saying this all the time. You're going to get a new T'Challa, right? Now you can sit there and say, well, it's not T'Challa from the comic book. Okay.
Yes, that is my opinion. Onzo knows.
But sooner or later, he's going to become the king of Wakanda. He's going to wear the Black Panther mantle, and he's going to be the forefront of those movies. So they're going to use the new actor who's playing Black Panther as what they would have done with Chadwick Boseman.
And I don't want the stories. I want the character that is Shuri's brother to elevate in popularity over the generations. Superman style. We saw him. Here's this cute graphic that I posted. Up top, you can see all the cartoon versions of Superman throughout the 50s all the way to the current day. And then down there, you can see all the live action guys who played Superman. And it's always Clark Kent. It's always Superman after every reboot. Superman superhero franchise gets reboot often. First time we got him in a live action movie, we got T'Challa as Black Panther. And the second time it's going to be Robin. That's not how Superman and Batman and everyone got popular. What we need is a constant, regular depiction of this hero and let every generation know year after year that T'Challa's that important. We just had three Spider-Man in a movie. We had a Thor movie where someone else was Thor and Thor was still there. And I want that treatment for this guy. I just happen to notice that while people are sharing titles and mantles and there's two Hawkeyes and the black one was the one that they killed off to match the actor's death, who kept his sickness private, but they put it in a movie in honor of him. I feel like they're honoring him way too strongly. I feel like they're honoring him to a point where now it's causing damage to the brand. And there's other ways to honor him without actually killing the character. Then you're dishonoring him. He worked hard to make this guy popular, to bring him into household name status. The Black Panther's really that popular. There's more work to be done. T'Challa isn't popular. The name T'Challa isn't. They know Black Panther. They meaning the regular audience. Let's get T'Challa up there too, just like Peter Parker and Bruce Banner. He only got one name. There's no last name. It's just T'Challa.
The recast T'Challa argument is just starting to. It feels like the Fandom Menace stuff because it just. Not the Fandom Menace stuff. The Zack Snyder stuff.
When you compare it to Zack Snyder, there's an undertone that it's something unacceptable happening. I'm gonna have to be asking for a specific. What is it? Is it just a hashtag that starts with the letter R? No, I'm being silly now. That's not true. But there definitely is something that is Zack Snyder, and I think that it's the persistence. That's what's very Zack Snydery. Now the difference is I'll talk for myself because he just said recast T'Challa is like restore the Snyderverse. He didn't direct that at me. He never said ChillMonger. So maybe I shouldn't even address it. When they say ChillMonger, you're acting just like that guy from the Zack Snyder sector of internet, I'll respond. But if you just talk about in general that hashtag and that hashtag, I shouldn't talk about it.
It just feels exactly like that, and I'm like, guys, give it a rest now. It's over.
It's a grift, bruh.
One way to prove it's not a grift is to show you the amount of money that video made. There was music underneath there. It's ineligible for monetization. Another video I did with music, with MJ music, was ineligible to modification. I care more about this getting the most reach it can get. Putting music from a popular artist will do that. And I also understand that it's not going to make money. That's fine. A lot of my recast T'Challa videos are not monetized to make money. Like, this isn't a grift. This is a battle on the internet. It's a battle for representation, to get a message across, to increase the knowledge of what's happening. All I'm doing is showing you what Disney has done throughout recent history. We're not even going that far. And showing you that while for the year we casted black people, when you just zoom out and you just pretend it's not year 2023, zoom out, pretend we're in year 2043, if this temporary representation continues, we'll notice that, wait a minute, Doctor Strange got more popular, but not T'Challa. Wait a minute, there's new mutants and the Fantastic Four gained in popularity, but not T'Challa. Oh my God, they keep giving it to Shuri. Then they're going to give it to Shuri's stepson, or rather nephew it would be, and instead the other white characters get to continue doing all their movies and gaining. Like Iron Man got 10 movies, Shuri's going to get one movie, and then in the sequel it goes to the kid. That's not right. Maybe you'll be able to do that when you zoom out and you realize that this is a temporary thing when it comes to the Shuri part. And then it's also temporary when it comes to the race swapping, and temporary when it comes to, fine, we'll do a movie, but they're going to transform into something else. Their dark skin is not going to be on screen for 2 hours. We won't subject your children in these kids' movies to someone with not a black face, but a dark skin tone. Black face is something different. Shout out Trudeau. But we will not subject people to a dark skin tone. That's what it feels like is happening, because it is repeatedly happening. And then when there's an opportunity for a face paint or an alien or something, let's get somebody black. When there's an opportunity for a voice acting role, we can do black people, sure. The first Lion King didn't have black actors, voice actors, except for Rafiki in the 90s. Guys, we got to be more sensitive to these things. We have to be, quote unquote, we got to be woke in its correct context. When you have a heightened sense of awareness of these transgressions, which are deplorable.
So I have this that I wanted to bring up too. I wanted to show this because we're always talking about, them changing white characters to black. But we never talk about the black characters that they changed to white. So I'm going to start off with the boys, right? The Deep in the comic is black. In the show, he's white. Where's your video for that, Chill? Where's your I told you about this months ago. And you said, oh, yeah, all kinds of, I don't like any time of race bending, but I've never once seen you complain about that.
I'm against any of these race swaps at all. Thing that's different between T'Challa and the Deep is one is a role model, and that other guy's not so positive. And it's also down here. There's levels to representation. There's like a television sitcom representation. There's best friend sidekick in a movie representation. And then there's $200 million budget going to a black character. And that's the one that I kind of focus on, because when I think of representation, it's like lead characters in top position.
So I brought this article up. 98 times a white actor played someone who wasn't white.
ChillMonger, first of his name, father of Panthers, oppose all 98 times.
So it's nothing new for Hollywood to take a character and change the race of it. That's what the point of it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's nothing new. They've been doing it all the time.
Yes, I recognize the history of movies. Cheaper by the Dozen is actually a movie from the 50s, even though I used the thumbnail from an earlier movie. This thing has been happening forever, and all of a sudden we get to see Gabrielle Union playing the mom at Cheaper by the Dozen. That franchise is white.
Like, it was wrong then, it's wrong today. And like some of those things you read, I had no clue, because I mean, it's not possible to see it and know every movie, but like, yeah, right. Bro.
I like how when LB says how it's not possible to see and to know all of these things, and then Onzo goes, right? Yeah, exactly. I talk about the things that I'm familiar with in my space, what I'm passionate about. As you know, if you follow me on Twitter, you've seen me say things about Star Wars, Marvel. You've seen me talk about Pokemon. You've seen me talk about anime stuff every now and again. Well, the animes that I watch. You might see me on Perp's show talking Attack on Titan. I stay in my lane of what I know to be safe to talk about. Franchises like The Boys, which I don't watch, and all the other stuff I don't watch, I don't talk about it. Yes, all of these are examples of temporary representation. They don't last. Things will reboot. It'll return to the normal. And that's not what I want. That's not the solution to like a century of cinema excluding people who have dark skin tones. The solution is not to just put dark skin toned people in those positions. That doesn't solve anything or remedy anything.
So to sit there and now act like it's something that, oh my God, I can't believe they did this now because they've never done anything like that before. It's just like overkill to me. It's like, okay, enough is enough. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How long ago did Wakanda Forever come out? Like, it's been months already, and we're still on this topic. That hashtag is still running around.
It's more than just one movie. Temporary representation is a long-term problem. When they do Shuri's brother being killed, this is going to last for phase 5, phase 6, phase 7, phase 9, phase 10. It's longer than that. I was never into just one movie wanting T'Challa to be there. I'm going to notice that this great role model is missing. He's scheduled to be missing again and again and again, and that's my thing. I don't want to go more years of the MCU until they finally close down without this positive guy, the most highly positive, the most highest grossing film with a black lead ever. That shouldn't be pulled. Even if someone like Shuri is there who also has his appearance, since she isn't the best, I recognize that the best, which would be her brother, is missing. I can actually use money to prove that she's not the best. The film that she starred in, which was called Wakanda Forever, made 65% less money than the first one. Less people saw it or repeatedly saw it. So I know that this representative up here, he named her brother, that dude is actually the best possible representation with the furthest amount of impact as opposed to Shuri. And let's say one day Shuri does catch up, it might take a little longer. They've already scheduled for the T'Child to come in and usurp her. I'm not with this temporary stuff. It's a long-term problem. It wasn't about this one movie or whether or not it'd be good without him. I don't hate Shuri and I don't hate Shuri's brother. If Canada is big enough to have Deadpool and to have Wolverine movies, Wakanda is big enough to have Shuri movies and her brother's movies. There could be both heroes coming out of one country. We've had Shang-Chi come out of San Francisco just like Ant-Man's out of San Francisco. It can happen with this country of Wakanda. It is big enough. They're choosing not to do that. They're making it an either or when it comes to these two characters. Not to mention the third character where the T'Child one day is probably going to, like as you're saying, become Black Panther and the lead of that franchise. That's not what got Superman and Batman popular.
And you still try. He did one thing and he called I think he called Kevin Feige, like he said, KK Kevin
Yeah,
Feige.
I saw that.
KK Kevin Feige. It's just a tweet. He probably just is culturally clueless, doesn't really understand the value of this high tier representation. Why would he? Think of the age he is. He's much older than us. And the world he grew up in was a certain way. I think the younger we are, probably the more exposure to unique, to diversity that we are, multicultural. So I think that it takes time. We got to remember that these executives who are in decision making, they get there because they got promoted to a promotion, then they got this big resume, and they get signed to become these big deals. Like James Gunn, the dude, how old is that guy? They didn't get him when he was 32.
I'm just like,
I was
what?
like, didn't Kevin Feige actually give us Black Panther?
Right.
Okay, this part of the video, I'm just going to answer it with my video.
They all say they want representation, but they keep falling for attendance.
So you can say whatever you want to say, but he also gave us Wakanda Forever, which is a predominantly black cast as well.
They all say they want representation, but they keep falling for attendance.
Showcased Black Panther in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
It's not representation, it's attendance. Somebody is there, present, you get somebody on screen. That representation is meaningful, it's lasting, and it's not, we took care of that, good, we got to have, someone's there. That's attendance. And Civil War was a cool lead-in. I seek representation at the top.
Me and him ain't never going to agree on this because, I mean, I'm just built different. But, like, the man died, man.
Exactly.
He died.
Exactly.
He had a big part in putting this movie together, and they made a conscious decision to honor him and not recast his character.
It wasn't a conscious decision. It took minutes. This was an emotional reaction. They couldn't see somebody else play Shuri's brother, as they've said to us so many times.
They rectified the situation in the movie, and you're still not happy with this.
Facts. Because you know what, LB? That's not my T'Challa.
Nothing was rectified. That's not my T'Challa. That's not the T'Challa.
Now, I've said it many times, whatever storylines he's had in the comics, you can still do that. You still have a T'Challa. You'll still have the representation. But it's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. It's not T'Challa. And I'm like,
it is. It doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what you say. He's still T'Challa.
Exactly.
Now that I think of it, it's funny how MJ, Michelle Jones Watson, is different than MJ, even though they share the same name. But the T'Child, whose name is Toussaint, but in Wakanda, his name is T'Challa. That's the same thing. That can pass?
But he's like, they took one of the most positive black representation in T'Challa. And I'm like, have you watched like any other black movies? Like, have you watched The Best Man, The Final Chapters? Watch that one if you want real black representation. You know what I mean? You're just talking about one genre of comic book genre, right? And saying, oh, yeah, they took away our black representation. But go watch The Final Chapters.
He is the most positively impactful black character in cinema. When his movie came out, it was a top 10 movie ever in the world in the history, which translates to ticket sales. More people saw him. He's popular. White kids were dressing up for him as Halloween. Not like any of these other movies that exist. As fine as they are, I'm seeking it at the top. I'm not going this hard for a character like Falcon, or a character like who else is there? War Machine. Let's say they got rid of the Valkyrie character. I mean, sad. You should have to continue the character always. But if we lose the Okoye character, if we lose some of these guys who didn't have a movie about them and have the reach that it did and the effects that it did, I wouldn't go this hard. But there definitely is a difference between what T'Challa was able to do, the character who debuted in Civil War, had a couple more outings in the highest grossing movie that ever came out, which is Avengers Endgame, until Avatar usurped it. He was in Infinity War also, which is a top 5 highest grosser. That guy is very known, and so he's worth going hard for. And plus, he's primary within his own franchise. He's not a Jon Stewart, where you do Green Lantern stuff, and maybe the studio will have Green Lantern Jon Stewart, but more likely it's Hal Jordan. He's not temporary. This is T'Challa. He's not a temporary guy. He shouldn't be.
They're still going to recast. It might not be T'Challa Senior, but we get T'Challa Junior. It is what it is.
And that's a great point what you said, because if we're going to really nitpick about this is not my T'Challa, well, Iron Man ain't Iron Man.
I love you, Dan.
Captain America ain't Captain America.
Exactly.
Your mom's name was Sarah.
Thanos isn't the Thanos from the comics.
Thanos, son of Elos.
Thor sure ain't Thor from the comics.
Thor, son of Odin.
Hulk
Facts.
sure ain't Hulk from the comics.
Facts.
Like, these are adaptations of comic books.
Mm-hmm. And when T'Challa, the kid T'Challa Jr., when he gets older and he becomes the king of Wakanda, they call him T'Challa. The only thing that will be different from his T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman T'Challa, or the T'Challa in the comics, is the parentage.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
They could do everything else, bruh.
And
Absolutely.
then you can have the T'Challa marry Storm and continue on with, what you got to do. You know what I mean? So it's
You could do everything, bruh.
That character, the T'Child, that's not going to be somebody that's going to be featured in the next movie, and every single reboot from now. Zoom out. It's not year 2023 anymore. Open up, look at a calendar, pretend that this is 23, this is 24, this is 25, this is 26. When we reach 46, we know that the MCU will be over, a new universe will spawn, and we'll do Black Panther. They're going to use Shuri's brother. That's going to be the Black Panther. That's why you can't, like, be okay with somebody else who's not going to exist in the next iteration and the next iteration. That's not what got Superman popular. It's been Clark all the time. The second movie wasn't about Clark Kent's bastard son, John.
I'll tell you what would have been messed
100%.
up if they killed Chadwick and had Bucky be the savior in
Right.
Wakanda Forever. That would have been
Right.
messed up.
I just find this part funny because in the most recent comic, the trash comic series that it is, Namor Mackenzie, a white character, becomes the savior of Wakanda. I agree, JG. This would be terrible.
Like, how messed up would it be to, like, do the second movie? Like, yeah, we recasting T'Challa, and everybody that worked with Chadwick Boseman is still grieving, and it's clear they're still grieving because they talked about it in interviews and all this stuff.
The scenario played out just like that. Be mad at Marvel. They were hired to read lines about their dead castmate from the last movie. They could have been doing anything but, and a new actor playing the role of T'Challa doesn't erase the source of the pain, which is the missing Chadwick Boseman. New actor doesn't change that. What, JG? What's that, JG?
Like, yeah, bro, we gonna recast T'Challa for Black Panther 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how messed up would that be?
Now,
You know what I mean?
To
Go
Chillmonger's
ahead.
credit, if this is his mindset, if you're going to recast T'Challa's character anyway, why kill him off and just make me sideline him so he can spend time with his kid or whatever?
If you are considering that the T'Child is a recast, then you are accepting the return of a T'Challa. You see the need for it, and you're saying that a few years from now, T'Challa will be present, and it's okay for that to happen. That's why the movie didn't need to kill him. They didn't need to permanently end him. They could have said he was a Skrull. They could have said that he's off in space. They could tell you that just T'Challa's death, they're talking about the one that happened during the blip when Thanos snapped his fingers, and that's the death that they're all sad about in Wakanda because T'Challa died, and we'd know, well, he'll be back later. They didn't need to end him with a death. This guy had a sickness that he didn't tell anyone. I'm talking of Chadwick Boseman. And they put that in a movie. They told everyone. It's not his intention. If it was, then instead, he would have said something like, yo, look, I'm dying, get rid of my character. Up until 2 weeks to the day he died, he was offering and talking to Ryan Coogler, the director, about the movie. Ryan Coogler sent him the script. Hey, it's finished. Check it out and read it. 2 weeks before the man died. Was Chadwick Boseman saying, yo, don't have T'Challa in my movie? No, he didn't. So to honor him, continue. Take the input that he had on the script, the original script for Black Panther 2, take the input and form it into a movie, because that's what he would have wanted. He would have wanted it because he was dying and seeking for T'Challa to be present in Black Panther 2. While he was dying.
You could tell how big of impact he had with everybody. So it was just like a sign of respect.
Honor him by furthering what he does. You don't honor people by stopping the things that they did when they were alive. The WWF didn't stop when Vince McMahon Sr. died. Or Apple didn't stop. And Jeopardy didn't stop when Alex Trebek died. You continue what they did. That's what they would want. You don't say, yo, you did such a great thing, rather than making you what Adam West was to Batman. I'm going to keep mentioning Batman and Superman because that's the top tier that I will compare him to. You will not be the progenitor, Chadwick Boseman, of this character. You will be the one and done. We're honoring him? You got to get over the emotional response that you had to his death, which happened in August of 2020, and then 11 months later when it was filming. It wasn't enough for you to just like, you know what, well, you know, our grieving is over. It wasn't enough? Fine. Delay the movie. Delay the movie 2 years. Delay the movie 3 years. Wait until Secret Wars. Fine. I don't want that. I would like it to happen sooner, but I understand that emotions of a death. And if 11 months was not enough for this cast and crew, fine. Take a break. I hate that it's being used. Oh, they just wanted to immediately recast him. They're so heartless. No, I'm okay with a break. It makes sense to me. People who are incapable of doing a Black Panther movie without T'Challa because of the emotions of a death that happened with the main actor, okay, take a little break. Get it together. Now, if you're incapable of doing it still, then you're just not qualified to do the Black Panther franchise. If you get that 3 years later and you're like, all right, let's get back into work. No, I still can't do it. All right, hey, someone else. Next. Get a director who can do Black Panther movies with the Black Panther, with Shuri's brother.
They can figure this out, and they did the right thing to me. They made the son.
Me too.
Yeah, they did the son, and like we've mentioned many times, you could do every single storyline in the comic book. And if you want to do stuff with the father and the mother family type thing, you could just swap it with Shuri.
So you can just swap in Shuri, huh? And have her be the Black Panther for a temporary period of time, and then the nephew comes in. No, Shuri's brother should be the constant during this time. When Fantastic Four is fantastic, and Daredevil is who that is, and Spider-Man is who that is, and Iron Man is who that is, this Marvel presence, this continuity here, that's the time that T'Challa is Black Panther. The mantle can pass on to Shuri and pass on to other people in Wakanda after T'Challa. But in comics, continuity-wise, where time really hasn't moved that much, this is the era of the Black Panther. The time when all these others are Captain Marvel, and the time of Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan. This is the era where Black Panther is T'Challa. There's a time when Captain America was fighting in the 40s, and that was a Black Panther named Azari. All right, you want to do a movie in the past? Cast the proper Black Panther. You want to do a movie in the present? Shuri's brother is the Black Panther.
When I watched the opening where they show the Marvel logo and they have the tribute to Chadwick, at that moment I realized, yeah, you know what? It would have been weird to watch another person play T'Challa in this movie. He looks totally
it's still not T'Challa.
right?
It's still not.
You know what I mean?
The T'Child, which you accept as a T'Challa recast, looks totally different than Chadwick Boseman. The new actor who will play that won't be Chadwick Boseman's face. That tribute that was recycled, that wasn't the first time we've seen that tribute. And if you have a weird feeling that someone else is going to be there, that is just the reality of death. And it's something that we've gotten over before. We've had recasts all the time, and it may feel weird, but once you see the trailer, maybe 5 months later, it's time to see the movie, it will have sunk in. Maybe you're in the movie and it's going to take a little time to settle in, but all the characters are going to call that guy T'Challa, and we're going to go, okay, yeah, I guess that's who's playing Shuri's brother. That weird feeling isn't a strong enough reason to nix this representative, this great character who, he was in the highest grossing Black film ever. This character isn't someone who's disposable at all, especially when you consider representation. I don't want to hear talk about representation and its value coming out of yourself or anyone else anywhere. If you're talking about it's okay for the best character with the highest reach in Marvel, the biggest franchise in movies, if that was expendable, then you don't care about representation. You care about attendance. You just care about, well, there's enough black people in this movie. Whew, thank goodness. Commissioner Gordon in the Batman's black. Oh, I can't. Man, I really couldn't get through Doctor Strange, but thankfully Chiwetel Ejiofor, he was playing Mordo, and that's okay. That's a white character, guys. It's a white character that a black actor played. I'm not satisfied with the attendance, with the check marks. It's got to be meaningful, and the most meaningful, more than any of these other black movies. The Harder They Fall, great movie. It was on Netflix. I don't know how many people watched it. Let's pretend just as many people watched it as the Black Panther. None of them were role models. Jonathan Major's character, Lucky, what was his name? Love, wasn't what Chadwick Boseman's character, Shuri's brother, is. Not a king of uncolonized Wakanda.
This ain't like the Harry Potter movies, like where there's novels, right? Like 6 or 7 novels, and then they turn around like, oh well, Daniel Radcliffe died, we're gonna recast Harry Potter. No, you got to, because you got to finish the novels, the movies, like they did with
Absolutely.
Dumbledore, bro. Like,
Oh, they recasted that
One.
dude quick.
I can't believe this Dumbledore part about finishing the story. Yet Chadwick Boseman's character was important enough to finish the story of and to go longer. Yes, and Dumbledore was a side character. Chadwick Boseman played a main character, and so that Chadwick is gone, you can still have that role that he played. You can still have Shuri's brother continue to finish the story. It's that important to Marvel as much as Dumbledore was important to the Harry Potter franchise. It is that important. It's more important than Thunderbolt Ross being recast, which I'm sure you're 100% opposed of General Thunderbolt Ross since the actor William Hurt died. Harrison Ford came in. I'm sure you support that. I do too. Continue the character. It's important to see more. Whatever plans you had should not need to be changed because an actor died. An actor died. That's sad news. When you can get it together, you can continue the story. It took way shorter for William Hurt's death to be gotten over than it did for Chadwick Boseman's death to be gotten over. William Hurt, someone who they knew since 2008, since the second movie in the MCU. William Hurt played that character. They got over it real quick. Is William Hurt's character, that's not that important compared to T'Challa. That's the point. Someone who's not important was recast lickety-split, but someone who was really important, the most important, wasn't recast. Shuri's brother needs to continue.
But you see, that's the thing. People will say, oh, well, these white actors died and they recast it right away. And like you said, you got to finish the movie. But at least with what happened with Chadwick, they could move away from it and then come back to T'Challa, which is what they plan to do. They gave the actors and actresses time to grieve, right? When you see those scenes where Sherry is crying and the queen is crying, those are real tears because they all had built a relationship with Chadwick Boseman at that time. You know what I mean? They were close friends with him. So, of course, you're going to feel away.
Give them some time for Shuri's brother to come back, sure. Except that Kevin Feige said since Chadwick Boseman's portrayal transcended any iteration of T'Challa, for that reason we will not recast the character. Because he said that. And so it's like a permanent thing. There will not be a recast. There will not be a return of the character since Chadwick did so good. That's the thing. They complimented Chadwick so highly that now it's regression. Now it's like stifling the on-screen of this character. It's not right.
if they didn't make that decision to make the son, like, I honestly, bro, I don't know why that never crossed my mind. I don't think it crossed my mind because I was like shocked. But like, if they decided not to do that, then you might have a gripe about this. They're killing our black characters.
You are thinking short term. The T'Child will not exist outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has a few phases left. When this is done, they'll have no need to do a T'Child because it is very unlikely that the actor who plays T'Challa again will die in the middle of him playing that character. They're going to continue with regular T'Challa. The T'Child is short term and not something that lasts. And I want the black character with the most amount of resources, the rare one that actually gets a movie, who's a role model and not Blade, a vampire slayer. I want that black character to be prominent, constant, permanent.
Have any of you guys watched the Best Man final chapters yet?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't gotten to it. I will, because honestly, I didn't see the Best Man movies until a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
Have any of you guys watched the Best Man final chapters? Crickets. Exactly. It's about the reach. The guy who this character is, Shuri's brother, this character is known everywhere. More amount of possibilities to do racial healing and familiarization for audiences who don't see enough people with that skin tone. They didn't watch that movie either. That's the point. It's because it's the best. That's the top. It's the most amount of exposure to him.
They're a loving family. It's so well done. It's positive representation. So if you're complaining about not getting it in your comic books, maybe you should switch genres of movies, and then you can get the black representation there because it's there, right? You guys just don't like the genre it's in. The Woman King was great black representation, but no one wanted to see that one, right?
My thoughts on The Woman King is that no matter what, it depicted African women in the 1800s and there were slaves there too, and I want to go to a movie theater and just see a romance where, oh look, the characters happen to have dark skin. I want to watch like a Star Wars thing where, look, it happens that the character who's in the lead has dark skin, and just have like escapism, but the lead of that movie where they zoom in and the determined look in that character's face is like somebody with dark skin. I was watching Star Wars Santa on Friday. Star Wars Santa, and he was like talking about how Yahya Abdul-Mateen might actually be the lead of this new Damon Lindelof Star Wars. That's awesome if that is the case. That would be great. Somebody who looks that way will be the lead character, have all the acting roles, and people are going to be up and down, and I hope he doesn't get hit by that lightsaber. Ooh, he ducked. Great. I want that for audiences. And not black audiences. This is never always about black audiences. Of course, it's great to see the inspiration that could provide for young people who are black that look that way. But then there's also just the white audiences who could benefit from normalization of that skin tone. And that's positive as hell. White people, China, the whole world.
Watch Till. Nobody fucking watch Till. You want black
I will say
representation?
this.
Watch fucking Till.
If I watch Till, I'll be seeing people picking cotton in that movie. As valuable as the information in that is and the message is, I'm talking about entertainment and a movie with positive role models. You know that I am.
You get your black heroes, right? You'll get some Ray Spent and you'll get your black heroes, but you'll get Jon Stewart, but that's not good enough for you because Jon Stewart is second Green Lantern and Hal Jordan's the original, right? So that's not good enough for you either.
Yeah, Jon Stewart, you said it right there. No disputes.
You had Falcon. He's getting his own movie as Captain America. Yeah, I know you guys. Oh, he's Falcon. He's not Captain America, but he's gonna get his own movie. He's gonna be representing black people to the fullest. You're gonna have that, but yet, it's second because he's not Captain America, which he was in the comics. So
Falcon trash, bro.
Falcon 2, no disputes. He's trash. I seek representation up top. Thank you for this video, everyone. Check out LB because I've done videos with LB before. I'll do more videos with LB. I'll join Onzo and Roberto on their Wednesday shows later on. Check them out. They've got good stuff. They have content that you could agree with. There's one thing we don't agree with, and it's got to do with T'Challa being recast and the importance of how valuable it is and how we can get over the emotional hump of the sting that this guy is not there, that actor's gone, but for the sake of racial healing, progression globally, and the effects, it's worth it. That's chill. Ciao. Subscribe to Biggerford Entertainment. Subscribe to LB, The Lonely Banter. But JG Shaolin, listen.